She started crying immediately and I started coming. Literally sitting on my knees, coming on her leg as sadly as one can. Ask Reddit on Reddit Rundown. What is your worst sexual fail? Having some of the hottest sex of my young life. Staying in a villa in Australia on vacation with my girlfriend. It was hot, muggy, and the sex was extremely bestial. No dirty talk or special toys, which I like, but not this time. It was just grunting, sweating and pounding, both us really getting off on it since it was so hot in the place. Well, all that sweat and wetness hit a negative when I was doing her doggy style. I was hammering away, getting close, and she'd already come a few times, writhing in pleasure. Then on what was to be my final thrust, my dick goes straight from her pussy in one thunderous thrust to balls deep in her ass. She liked anal sometimes, and I've done the, oh crap. The tip popped in her ass. Moments before and since. They don't end well, but I've honestly never impaled myself in a girl's butt with that force and depth since. She started crying immediately and I started coming. Literally sitting on my knees, coming on her leg as sadly as one can, while she wailed in pain and grabbing her asshole. She immediately jumped up and got in the shower and continued to cry her eyes out. It was an awkward dinner with family members a couple hours later when she waddled in like a duck saying she'd fallen off a bike. Never did anal again with her. A girl asked me to choke her during sex. I didn't know what that involved. Turns out the goal is to restrict blood flow to the brain, heightening the sensation. I, being a dumbass, dug my fingers deep into her trachea, impeding her breathing. It wasn't until she started swinging at me that I realized I should stop. I have a super embarrassing story. So, me and my then girlfriend were fooling around. I was handcuffed to the bedpost and she was straddling me. She also had some whipped cream and chocolate syrup she was eating off me. Everything was going fine until she tried to move forward and basically lost balance and went face first, hard, into the bedpost. She got a bloody nose because of it and was bleeding on my face. Again, I'm cuffed to the bed, so I can't do anything except stare in horror at what's unfolding. She jumps off me and runs to the bathroom while I'm freaking out, stuck, and screaming at her to see if she's okay. She stays in there for like 5 minutes not answering me because she's dealing with a potentially broken nose. I'm tied up, covered in blood, chocolate syrup, whipped cream, sweat, and other bodily fluids, not knowing whether she's still in the bathroom or whether she left without telling me. I mean, eventually she came out and uncuffed me, and now I can have a laugh remembering that story. But at the time I don't think I have ever been that mortified. I was not a popular kid in school, so when I met and convinced a girl to make out with me, I was thrilled. We were in her car near a pond and we were tongue wrestling when I managed my hand up her shirt. She did not stop me, and so I said, in all of my wisdom, my, aren't we promiscuous? For whatever reason I thought that meant alluring or sexy. She got off of me and made me walk home. It would be another 2 years before I got boob again. I was trashed one night. Went back to a guy's house and we were starting to hook up. Went to the bathroom, and when I came back to his room I went into the wrong room and proceeded to start hooking up with his very confused and sleepy roommate. He came and got me before things got too far along. After a 48-hour study session with no sleep, I was convinced by a friend that I should come to a bar for just a pint. 6 pints later I was in bed with this South African girl back at her place, but I just couldn't come for the life of me, not because of drunkenness, just exhaustion. She decides to finish me off with a blow job, and it's doing the trick. As I'm feeling the vague hint of approaching the vinegar strokes, I tell her to go deeper. She does, and I'm just about to spurt when she pukes all over my cock. Weird thing was, she got so embarrassed she just wiped her mouth off and continued like nothing happened. I was in shock myself and just let her. None of us mentioned it. I fell asleep, my dick still in her mouth, ball sack undrained and covered in vomit. I went to a party where I knew the host and about 2 of his friends. He was a good workmate and he also used to provide the service of specific mood enhancers, shall we say. So, this party is rocking, very alternative crew. Most people, including myself, are rather high on life, and other things. I'm in a circle and the conversation gets a bit adult. These two very sassy brunette bi girls are starting to make out in front of me, and one of them grabs my hands and places them on her, implying for me to rub my hands all over her while they made out. They are shedding clothes, the others are cheering or sitting there grinning, and I get a raging hard-on. With a mixture of substances, I felt like I would explode right there and then. One of the girls gets up and goes to a room, the other grabs my hand and leads me in. I still to this day do not understand what physically happened, but as soon as they turned attention onto me, I went as limp as a biscuit in tea. They got naked, they tried a double BJ, they went at each other while I tried to make it work myself. With each passing second of failure I died more and more on the inside. I got embarrassed and just left the room. I hung out with my mate a few minutes then just walked home in shame, knowing if they came out of the room I couldn't face it. I've never felt hatred for myself like that in all of my life. I knew I was going to be having sex with the guy I was dating for the first time, so I went and bought new bra and undies for the occasion. Found an awesome bra but the store was out of my sizes in matching underwear, so I bought them in the size smaller thinking it would be fine. He was kissing me and unbuttoning me and then said, "I want to watch you undress." So I was trying to be cute and slipped my underwear off and they ripped as I slid them over my hips. Super. She's on her back, I'm kneeling between her legs and pounding like a jackhammer. Things get pretty intense and my body kicks into overdrive. Her head is slamming into the wall with every thrust. It probably hurts, but I'm beyond the point of stopping. A mirror with a very heavy frame is knocked off the wall and strikes her forehead. It makes a loud, hollow thonk noise and she grunts like an injured goat. I start cracking up and jizz all over the place while she clutches her face in agony. If you're reading this, Buppy, I love you. This is epic. So, I was hanging out with my friend who had recently broken up with one of the members of our extended entourage. She had decided, in her newfound freedom, that she basically wanted to bang everyone. She was, well, very attractive, so all of the dudes in our circle took her up on it. Finally, I asked her one day, why she never made a move on me. I'm not overly full of myself, but I knew I was more attractive than some of the other males in our group. She laughed and said she thought I was the only one that was off limits. Basically, she had assumed, incorrectly, that I did not want to bang her because of loyalty to our comrade who she had recently dumped. I was 17, I did not give a fuck about his feelings, I just wanted to get my junk wet. Anyway, we agree to fool around that night. We go back to my house, meet up with our other friends and proceed to do gratuitous amounts of cocaine. I was familiar with cocaine, but not its effects on my package, but we will get back to that. So, we go upstairs and start fooling around, but neither of us can get that excited due to the coke. She tries to pull my junk out, but it's basically shriveled so much that it's inside of me like a dog standing up. I quickly stop her to avoid the embarrassment and go down on her, figure it might help us get into the mood and avoid my insanely shrunken cock. I am eating her out and fingering her, and as I mentioned, I was on coke, so this was happening quick vigorously. Anyways, it becomes apparently after about 3 minutes that neither of us are really into it, just too strung out on powder, so we laugh and she goes into the bathroom to make herself look nice since we had definitely messed up her hair and such making out. I turn on the lights in the room we are in and, to my surprise, there is blood all over the bed. I walk over to the bathroom where she is and start to say, Amanda. There's blood on the bed. I only got to, Before she cut me off with, yeah, I know. The following 15 minutes were by far the most awkward of my entire life. To this day we both recount that as our worst sexual experience. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to redeem myself, I'm actually embarrassed just reliving this memory. My face is red and hot. Anyways, she moved away, but we're still friends. I don't see her much, but when she comes back to my state, we still hang out with the same people, so I inevitably see her. I actually wish I saw her more. She was a fun friend to hang out with. So, I was on top of my boyfriend at the time, and I was going at it like it was my last night on earth or something. Smacked my head hard on the slanted ceiling above the bed. Completely knocked myself out and my nose bled everywhere. Spent the rest of the night in A&E being treated for a bad concussion. Also, don't get me started on the guy I just used to see for casual. He was incredible in bed, we were both having an awesome time, next minute he jumps about a mile, which felt amazing for me, and starts giggling really high pitched, not so good. My reaction was, what's so fucking funny? Turns out my dog had got on the bed without us knowing, being pretty distracted at the time, and was merrily licking this guy's balls. Pretty awkward. Poor dog. Thanks for listening to Reddit Rundown, give a thumbs up and subscribe, and help me get to 1,000 subs. Leave a comment below on what kind of topics or stories you would like to hear. You can also check out other videos on my channel. Thanks and have an awesome day.